Good evening, welcome to the KFM Evening News today, the 17th of September 2024. To present it, I'm Jack Magembulo. We first take a look at the top stories. Kelvin Wayefuba has accused the President Hakainde Hichilema of expressing great ignorance of the law. CSO says presidential address to Parliament lacked a comprehensive outline of Zambia's debt servicing plans. Edmund Yasako appeals to the UPND government to develop hydropower stations in Wapura. In international news, Hezbollah says exploding pages Q3 and in Germany in Lebanon. And in sports, Rodri says players close to striking over schedule. And now the news in detail. Zambia must prosper leader Kelvin Wayefuba has accused the President Hakainde Hichilema of expressing great ignorance of the law regarding the tenure of the presidency in Zambia. Mr. Fube, a lawyer by profession, says no lacuna exists about the holding of general elections in the country, as the constitution spells the month and the date on which the general election should be held. He says the lacuna only exists where the constitution of the law has not provided for a particular situation by mistake, oversight, or human error. He says the president was misleading the nation by claiming a lacuna exists in the holding of elections in the country. He accused the president of being in panic over the holding of general elections in 2026 because he has failed to perform to the expectations of the people of Zambia. The civil society organization CSO Data Alliance says last week's presidential address lacked a comprehensive outline of Zambia's debt servicing plans. In an interview with Phoenix News, the Alliance coordinator Peter Mumbano said that despite Zambia securing a $6.3 billion restructuring deal, including over $4 billion owed to China in debt restructuring, the country still struggles with over $6 billion in debt owed to private lenders. Mr. Mumba says there was no comprehensive explanation of the public debt and progress made on the remaining debt restructuring from President Hakainde Hichilema when he opened Parliament. He says the Alliance expected a more comprehensive report on the status of the country's debt restructuring, which was not clearly stated, especially when the head of state spoke about the status of public debt. Mr. Mumba says the Alliance, however, appreciates the progress that has been made so far, commending government for achieving 77% restructuring rate, which he says was not an easy task. Edmund Yasako of Chief Magumba Ilmansa District has urged the new Donor administration to establish the hydropower generation station in Wapura province, which boasts of a huge hydropower potential. Edmund Yasako says the establishment of hydropower generation will provide jobs to the so many jobless young people in the country. The headman has also asked the government to rethink its desire to move water from the Wapura River to the Kafue River for hydropower generation. The traditional leader says the project will be costly and with consequences not known in the future. He says the activity will also bring down business in the province. Edman Kabosha Mwana of Chief Chimese in Mansa District has appealed to Wopla Water and Sanitation Company to consider installing of water pipes in his village. Speaking to KFM News, the headman Kabosha Mwana says the village was not being considered in the project to take water to the various villages in the district. The headman says the village faces enormous challenges with water in the summer as most wells dry up. He has called for support to have piped water brought to his village to prevent waterborne diseases from breaking out in the area. The Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA has urged suppliers of alternative energy products to pass on the benefits of tax incentives to consumers by offering reasonable and affordable prices. ZRA Corporate Communications Manager Oliver Nzala said the government has introduced tax incentives on alternative energy products to help mitigate the negative impact of the prolonged drought and subsequent load shedding on local businesses. However, Mr. Nzala expressed concern that despite these tax incentives, the public continues to face high prices for solar energy equipment, making it difficult for ordinary citizens to access alternative sources of electricity. Mr. Nzala added that increased usage of solar products in the country would also boost Zambia's chances of achieving its Vision 2030 target of universal access to clean, dependable, and affordable energy by 2030. The Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC) has clarified that the autonomy of the Commission is not dependent on the appointment of the Board of Commissioners, but is vested in the office of the Director General. ACC Head Corporate Communications Timothy Mono says despite the Board providing policy and strategic direction of the Commission, the functions of the Commission are under the Director General's office. Mr. Mono says the clarification follows the misunderstanding by some members of the public on the operations of the Commission due to the absence of the board. In a statement issued to ZNBC News, Mr. Mono said that the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012 does provide for the establishment of the Board of Commissioners under Part 1 of the schedule, as the board is established as the governing body of the Commission. He further said the Commission has continued to discharge its mandate professionally and with the tenacity it deserves. And now academicians have bemoaned Zambia's relationship with some investors in the mining sector that have failed to grow the industry over the years despite having high favorable mining tax regimes under substantive governments since privatization. Mining expert Professor Peter Chileshi is proposing that Zambia implements a policy that compels mining sector players to locally assemble inputs into the mining sector such as laptops, light bulbs, drilling machines, and dump trucks, among others, to grow the local economy and create more jobs. He says the operating and capital expenditure of all the mines in billions of dollars annually, comparing around 30% of this value through local assembly of parts, can improve Zambia's economy as it can be implemented within 3 to 5 years. Professor Chileshi believes Zambia can localize value addition on copper products through companies like Zamefa and has urged the state to draw lessons from past mining tax regimes to create a better one for 2025 and beyond to unlock productivity and economic growth. Before we take a look on the international news, a recap on local news headlines. Kelvin Wonyafuba has accused President Hakainde Hichilema of expressing great ignorance of the law. CSOs say presidential address to parliament lacked a comprehensive outline of Zambia's debt servicing plans. Headman Yasanko appeals to the UPND government to develop hydropower stations in Luapula. Coming up next is the international news and sports. The Iran-backed Lebanese armed group Hezbollah says 2 of its fighters and a girl have been killed after handheld pagers used to communicate exploded. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon was among hundreds of people reportedly injured by what Hezbollah called CCTV footage appeared to show an explosion in a man's trousers pocket as he stood at a shop till. Hezbollah said it was investigating the cause of the blast and did not directly accuse Israel of being behind them. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military, which has been exchanging fire with Hezbollah since last October in parallel with the Gaza war. But the events come hours after Israel's security cabinet made the safe return of 60,000 residents displaced in the north by Hezbollah attacks on official war goal. On Monday, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said the only way to retain Israel's northern residents was through military action during a meeting with U.S. envoy Amos Hochstein. Israel has repeatedly warned it could launch a military operation to drive Hezbollah away from the border. Intense storms battering Central Europe are now reaching Italy, where warnings of heavy rains, strong winds, and floods have been issued for much of the country. Floods are already reported in the central city of Pescara, while the Italian Meteorological Service's weather alerts apply from the northern coast of Emilia-Romagna to the far south. The warnings come on as flooding has devastated parts of Poland, the Czech Republic, Romania, and Austria this week, leaving at least 21 people dead. Authorities in Croatia, Hungary, and Slovakia are also warning of flooding in the coming days. The significant flooding has been caused by Storm Boris, which brought vast amounts of rain and snow at the weekend. More than 5,000 soldiers have been deployed to help people in southern Poland, including the 40,000 residents evacuated from the town of Nyasa. In sports, Manchester City midfielder Rodri says players are close to going on strike in protest at an increase in games. City face Inter Milan on Wednesday in the Champions League with a new format, adding at least 2 extra games before the knockout stage. The Club World Cup, which Pep Guardiola's side are also involved in, has also expanded to 32 teams and will be held next summer. The new Champions League and Club World Cup formats mean City will play at least 4 extra matches compared to last season's guaranteed fixtures. They played just 2 games to win the Club World Cup in December, but next summer would need to play 3 group games and 4 knockout matches if they were to go all the way. Across the past 2 full seasons, City played 120 times across all competitions. We now come to the end of this news bulletin, but before I run a recap on the top stories, Kelvin Wadiafu has accused President Hakainde Hichilema for expressing great ignorance of the law. CSO says presidential address to parliament lacked a comprehensive outline of Zambia's debt servicing plans. Headman Yasanko appeals to the UPND government to develop hydropower stations in Luapula. Hezbollah says exploding pagers kill 3 and injure many in Lebanon. In sports, Rodri says players close to striking over schedule. Ends the news at 18:15. Join us tomorrow morning for the first bulletin of the day. But we still have the news summary tonight at 20 hours. Good evening. What is